Hey guys, welcome back to Homeschool and Life. It's Lauren with you here today, and today I'm going to share just a mid-year update, a homeschool update, and just some goals also for this winter term. I guess you could call it that. Not the whole semester, really focusing in on this after Christmas time, like January, February into March, early spring here where we live. So I'm just going to share a few things that we're changing during this season or term, as I like to call it, and just what homeschool and looks like for us during this time, as well as just life in general. So we're going to jump right into it, and I'm just going to share some things that we have changed now that the holidays are over. So the first thing for us is we are spending a little bit more time in the mornings, just slowly waking up. I'm not rushing anyone. Mostly this is due to the fact that we don't have a lot of outside activities going on during this time. The only one of my students or one of my kids is still involved in sports, and that's my son that is doing sports at the public school. He still most days goes and does a workout. So it's off season for him for football, and he's not participating, mostly because he had an injury this fall. He's not participating in another sport right now. So he is, even though he's going every day, he even is limited to what he can do still, since he's in a recovery time. So it's really made our days very easy. He goes and he works out in the afternoon, and then he comes back. But even though we're still having to leave or go do something most days, it's not rushing us as much as it was in the fall when we had multiple kids doing sports, and it will change again in the spring when baseball starts back for our family. So we are taking advantage of these months, and we are moving slow. This is just a season for us where we can do that. We can be slow, and we can not rush, and we can just spend more time as a family and at home. So that is my main goal during this time, is to embrace the slow season, this time of rest, and not rush the kids every day through what needs to happen. So we're able to adapt during this season to just moving and functioning at a different time, a different pace than we do other times of the year. So that means we're starting school a little bit later in the mornings. The kids are welcome to get up and get going as soon as they are, ready for the day or whatever. That's up to them. They're always welcome to do their independent work early. But I'm not saying it's 8:30, you need to be started, or it's 8 or it's 8:30, you need to get going. In the fall, our afternoons are a little more scheduled, so we have to get things done a little bit earlier in the morning. But for the winter, not so much. And I will say, we're also, because we've been doing school for a semester now, our time can be, our schedule is more established, so the kids are more efficient with their time, I guess is kind of what I'm saying. Not every day, nobody's perfect. We have days where they lollygag around and just aren't getting things done, and I might hey, I'm gonna set a timer, you need to finish your math during this time, just to motivate them. But they're mostly used to each of the programs. We're not learning new things, so things are moving a little bit smoother during this time. And we're also able to prioritize more time during the day to read. We've added more reading into our day, personal reading, as well as fitting in those read alouds or just those fun books. Our morning basket time, it's still in the afternoon. I still prefer to do that after lunch, but we're able to spend a little bit more time in it. We're moving a little slower, so we can add in new books, we can add in just fun read alouds and different things like that, and it's just whatever we want to read. So right now we're actually reading through Grimm's fairy tales, and this was just a book that I had picked up. They're very short stories, and I'm just kind of going through and reading different ones, and the kids are enjoying those. We've added in more, we're reading more just the small little books that's fun, Answers in Genesis has a few books. I can't even remember the name of it right now. I'll put it in the description below, but we're reading through some of the Answers books. just different things. So I've added a few more things into our morning time. It's more of a I just stuck a few books in our box and whatever I feel like grabbing out that day. But I do feel like I can do that during this time because we're not as crunched for time. Okay, sorry about that, guys. My SD card was full. So I think where I left off, I was talking about just things we're prioritizing. And so the next one was time outside. Every day we're trying to be intentional because it is winter and it is colder, although we live in the South, so we're not as cold as some areas. But it has been pretty cold here, and so we're prioritizing trying to spend at least 30 minutes a day outside. And for me, I'll talk about that a little bit more in my goals, what that looks like for me. But for the kids, I just feel like how important it is, even when it's cold, to get everybody bundled up and go outside for a little while to play, ride their bikes, play on the trampoline, do something like that during these winter seasons. So they're getting sunshine if the sun's out, but even just fresh air if it's not. And another thing that we're trying to do is just play more games. We love card games and board games and different things. And so playing those throughout the day or playing those in the evening as a family, but incorporating them also into our homeschool. We love different ones, and most games have an element, like card games and different board games have an element of learning to them, or just working as a team or doing things like that. So that's definitely something we like to do a lot in the winter, as well as puzzles and things like that. So those are our priorities, I'll call, of our winter season in homeschool. And I will say, because we're starting school a little bit later, it's giving us time in the morning to also work slower and a little bit more on our personal Bible studies. And so for the kids, I really encourage them. Sometimes when we're in a rush, they'll rush through their own Bible studies and different things, but to take time to slowly do this and spend time in the Word of God every morning. So I'm going to jump from our homeschool into just my personal goals for this winter or this new term. I'm not a huge goal setter. I do like to have things in mind each month or throughout the year, especially at the beginning of the year. It's just a fresh start and a time for us to work on new things. It gives us a new energy. But I have found that winter is not always the best time for me to set big goals. I tend to be more motivated once the weather starts to warm back up. So once spring hits, I'm ready to do projects. I'm ready to, set new running goals or things like that, and different things, because I prefer that type of weather. So I'm a little more lenient with myself in the winter, but I do still always want to have something that I'm working towards, or, just evaluating things. So for the next few months, for what I'm calling the winter goals or winter term, I want to prioritize more time in Bible study. And I had said that with the kids, but I read through the Bible chronologically last year. And then I'm also reading through the Bible with just a 1-year Bible this year. It has for every day of the year, it has a reading, but it's not very long. It takes maybe 15 minutes at most. And so I found myself doing a lot of reading through the Bible, but not necessarily study. So right now we do a study with our small group on twice a month, every other week we meet. And so just really digging deep into that book that we're studying. I'll go over it and look at it before I study, but I think taking the opportunity to use that book, the Bible, to study a little bit deeper for now. I may change afterward, but for this winter semester, we're working in 2 Timothy and then going on into Titus. So I think that's where I will focus more Bible study time. And because, like I said, we're being a little bit slower with our mornings, I'll have more time to do that. The other thing, and I'm just looking down at my notes, guys, if I keep glancing down, but is strength training. I try to strength train throughout all the year. I like to run, but I find myself always prioritizing my cardio, my running, because I enjoy doing it throughout the rest of the year. And winter is a good time for me to focus in on strength training, because I don't love the cold and being out in it, but I can strength train inside. I just bring my weights in and I do it either in my bedroom or in our garage. It's a little warmer in there, but definitely in my bedroom. So I'm working through a program right now. I've used Heather Robertson. I've talked about her on here before. She's on YouTube, and she always does a 12-week program at the beginning of the new year. So I'm using a lot of her workouts, not all of them, to focus in on strength training again. Sometimes I just do my own, but I'm trying to do it at least 6 days a week of strength training, 5 to 6 days. And then right now I'm not as focused on running, so I'm running about 3 days a week, and then also doing incline walks on my treadmill or just walking. But I am, and that's the other thing, being outside more, prioritizing being outside, even if the weather's really cold. I've tried really hard, and so far I've only missed 1 day, and that was like when it snowed and different things. But spending 45 minutes either running or walking or just being outside, but mostly it's my time to run. And I've been doing this more in the afternoons because I have the freedom to do it in the afternoons right now. We don't have a lot going on most days, and just so I'm getting sunshine, vitamin D. I just think it's great for this time of year. We just tend to get, just the seasonal blues and things like that, being stuck inside all the time. So I'm trying to prioritize being out in the sunshine. And then the next thing is meal planning and doing my grocery orders, just focusing back in on my budget and my grocery budget during the holidays. I find myself, running to the store for this and that because we have so many events going on. So I always think January and the first of the year is a good time to reset and reevaluate my budget for the month and plan my meals out, plan even lunches and breakfast or things like that, and doing a grocery order so I'm not just running in the store all the time, and I can stay on budget a little bit better that way. And then the last thing is just reading. We're reading more in our homeschool, but me personally, I'm also trying to fill less time with screens. Although this time of year, we do like to watch shows and movies together as a family because, at least once or twice a week, we usually are watching a show or a movie because it's so dark so early and we're stuck inside and not having as much going on in the evenings. But we're also taking time to, like I said, play games, and then all of us are reading our own personal books for fun. And so for me, I find myself, this is the time of year I'll get a lot of reading in for fun, mostly, this like fiction and things like that I just enjoy in place of screens. And so that is mostly what I'm focusing on these next few months during this winter semester, and just embracing this time where life's a little bit slower and we can just spend more time together, learning as a family in our homeschool, spending time together just in our home as a family. And I'm just very thankful for this time, and it's very restful and rejuvenating before we head back out into the spring and we're working in the garden and we're doing baseball, and the kids have a lot of activities going on, and the summer, of course, and fall are like that. So I'm thankful for this this cold season. I've learned to enjoy it more than I thought, or I ever did before I thought I would. So thank you guys for joining us here. We look forward to your comments, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. We would love to have you here as we continue this journey here on YouTube. And we will see you all here again soon, hopefully.